It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me at tea time. Everybody agrees I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting. Always rooting for the anti-hero. I have this dream. My daughter-in-law kills me. For the money, she thinks I left them in the will. The family gathers around and reads it. And then someone screams out she's laughing up at us from hell.
Hello, my friends.
So what is
that?
Glenn?
Why is that my voice? What's going on?
I did not know that you have a daughter-in-law? I did not know.
Yeah.
That's Glenn singing Taylor Swift.
That's a Taylor Swift song?
Send it to your daughters, they'll know.
Oh.
More like
I think they did. I sent it to them.
Mumbling.
And they were laughing. Yeah. That sounds pretty awful. For a Taylor Swift song, for lyrics for a Taylor Swift song.
Sounds just like you, Glenn.
I guess.
Thank you for joining us for the PEBCAK Podcast, a weekly information security show featuring some all-around good people. It is week 5 of 2025. Happy Chinese New Year to everyone who celebrates. Over the next 2 weeks, 3 billion trips will be taken in China alone. I'm Chris Louie, and we've adopted another neighborhood stray cat. With me, I have my co-host, the Cloud God, who knows the exact caloric intake value of a cat.
It is 0 because I would never eat a cat. That's disgusting.
And we have Glenn Medina, who was one at life, still having date nights with his wife now that the kids are all gone out of the house.
It's a great time. I love it. Being what do you call it? A empty nester. It's awesome. And for a minute there, I thought you were talking about our guest when you said we were adopting stray cats. So
meow.
So is
yeah.
Is your go-to like a movie night? Is that what you guys like to do?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, movies, dinner, just like I said, I travel as well, and she works nights, so it's rare, or it's pretty much every other week before we can see each other.
Remember what each other looks like. I feel like there's no good movies out though, so it's got to be a stretch to go see something in the theaters.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
Den of Thieves 2 is out.
Yeah, but that requires the wife to watch Den of Thieves 1, and I'm the only one that watched it like 5 times already. So
that was a good one. Our guest this week is our favorite Canadian and expert gamer, Brad Lisowski. Brad is
Don't tell DDL that he's our favorite.
Brad is a fellow at the Institute of Only Children, and we brought him on for his expertise on the topic of being an only child.
And the 51st date.
There you go.
Soon to be.
Never. Hey, guys.
Welcome, Brad. Glad to have you on.
It's good to be back.
Combined, we have decades of information security experience here, not just to educate, but to entertain. We've got at least 3 awesome stories for you this week, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Brad, was that a throwback to the intro when you said never ever to a Taylor Swift song?
Not
you don't
quite.
know that
Didn't
song.
pick up on that.
Oh, okay.
Nice callback.
Oh, it was clever nonetheless. Yeah.
Nice one, though.
Programming note, we have completed the January challenge for both fitness and Kalshi/Polymarket, but due to massive scheduling conflicts, we could not get Victor on the show today. He should be on next week as our guest to do the January challenge recap.
And who's in for the February challenge? You guys ready for this?
We haven't talked about this one yet.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good one. So next week, tune in.
All right. Apparently we're doing a challenge a month.
Well, it just kind of bled over. If you pay attention to the group chat, you'd know this.
I did. I didn't know it was an official thing, though, Brian.
Hey, when I write it down, it turns into scripture. So this is descendant from the cloud god itself. But might as well. You know what? We got to tell people right now because we're going. By the time they listen, it'll already be February.
It will be February. Yeah.
Yeah. Should we do it now or towards the end?
You do it now. Just give us the Cliff Notes version.
All right. So we're going body weight exercises, and the minimum would be 200 push-ups per day, 200 sit-ups, 200 body weight squats, and between 40 to 50 pull-ups. And for extra benefits, throw a mile run in there as well. So
yeah, I'm out.
Why?
I barely survived last year. We did 100. Now it's 200 and a mile a day.
Yeah, because that comes out to like 5,000 push-ups in a month, which would be pretty rad.
All right.
I'm done. I'll stick to the mile.
All right.
A day.
Well, just pick any of it and just do it. And then, Brad, if you want to chime in with your Peloton, you rich bastard, you can be like, oh, I bicycled 12 miles while renaming myself some weird thing that they call me out.
Why don't you throw in some kettlebell swings?
That's not body weight.
You're gonna do kettlebell swings?
That's true. It's not body weight. Maybe for the March challenge, throw in kettlebell swings.
Go kettlebells. All right, I like that. Or kettlebell workouts.
Well, last year we did burpees too, didn't we?
No, it was just push-ups, sit-ups, and
Oh, okay.
We didn't do pull-ups. Push-ups, sit-ups, and body weight squats.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was. Squats.
All right. This week we're going to talk about a massive school system data breach. For our second topic, ChatGPT getting usurped, and close with only child talk again. If we have time at the end, we have a bonus topic, but something tells me we probably won't get to it this week.
Probably not.
One more programming note. With the new presidential administration coming in and disrupting things, the White House Press Corp is issuing press passes to alternative media like social media users and podcasts. I'm happy to say I applied for a White House press pass on behalf of the PEBCAK Podcast, so we'll see if I actually get it.
I'm going to do it too. I'd love to be in there asking great questions.
Yeah, the PEBCAK goes to Washington. Let's make it happen.
That would be wild.
For our first topic, I saw this story impacting our colleagues and people I personally know, so I thought we'd do a public service and notify people that the data breach that happened over at PowerSchool. PowerSchool is a cloud-based K-12 software provider serving over 60 million students and 18,000 customers worldwide, offering things like enrollment, communication, attendance, staff management. So it's basically an all-in-one SaaS solution for schools. It's what CDK was for the auto industry when they got taken down last year. Back in December, the company suffered a data breach where the attackers stole sensitive data from about 6,500 school districts. The stolen data includes full names, physical addresses, contact information, social security numbers, medical data, and grades. Although the company alleged that the incident only impacted a subset of customers, a threat actor claimed on their extortion demand that they stole data on about 62 million students and about 9.5 million teachers, making it seem like the breach was not that limited. A detailed report of what actually happened is overdue, but expected soon from our friends over at CrowdStrike.
So I would assume that this is probably worth 12 cents on the open market. Like, who the hell gives a shit? Like, what? I don't understand.
Is this worse because you went after underage data?
Basically children.
Just like you would be like... Yeah.
I think it's probably worse on the for PowerSchool because they lost the data of minors.
I think it's probably worth more than that because you could take that data and you could turn it into new IDs that have never been made potentially. Like, here's so-and-so lives at this address, start registering stuff for them.
Just wait until...
And they all have great credit. They all have good credit, right?
Yeah, so wait until they turn 18 and start opening credit cards and bank accounts.
But when you go enroll in school, you don't provide a social security number. Maybe birth certificate.
We do. Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Our district requires that.
Oh, freaking California.
You don't need it to vote, but you needed to go to school.
Even then, like, illegal aliens can go to school here. They just put NA under social security number. But if you're a citizen, then you have to put it.
I'm just going to start doing that with all my stuff. NA. Not available. You don't have one? No, I do. I just don't feel like looking it up.
Because you're going to lose it.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not Equifax, now it's PowerSchool, so good job, guys.
I've actually done that. There's been weird things that I've had to like forms I've had to fill out, or like even applying for daycare, like they need my social security. I'm like, you don't need my social security number. So I just put NA and see if they push back, and I've never gotten pushback on that.
Do you know how much, I don't want to say illegal, but really dumb things I did pre-18 that was on record that I knew? Like, I'm just like, well, I can just do this because when they turn 18, it's just going to go away anyways. And so I would do it. I guess that would be a bad thing.
Changing grades for your fellow students.
Yeah, that was whatever. That's fine. But like...
that's not necessarily true, right, Brian?
Are you talking about
there's an official record? There's an official record, and then there's an unofficial record. Those that can be used against you in a court of law. That's the official one, right? But that stuff is still history that goes against you, like if you're going for a background check or something like that.
So all the fights I got to in high school and the money I used to collect to do nefarious things, or it's all documented somewhere when I got busted?
It's somewhere, yeah.
You're making reference to that nebulous permanent record that your stuff's going to go on. If you do this, it's going on your permanent record. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Never seen that record in my entire life.
Yeah. Well,
I don't believe it.
Brian applies for that top secret clearance, and Agent Smith goes back to Globe Middle School and says, "Did you get in a fight with Timmy and knock out two of his teeth?"
Oh, they're gonna have their.
Well, it's 10 years though. Let's get straight. So Brian's 50, so they'd only go back to 40 years old.
I look pretty good for 50, just saying. Yeah. I think when I do my secret clearance, that guy's gonna have a lot of work to get done. Gotta go talk to a lot of people. They're not gonna know me.
Yeah, but it's definitely interesting. I think there is some things in here. They said that even like medical data, like who has diabetes, who has to carry an EpiPen, who has certain communicable diseases, that's in there. Some disciplinary records, so like someone got sent to the principal's office, or somebody's prone to breaking out in fights, or they had to get the police called on them. It could potentially be some kind of extortion there for the individuals involved in it, and stuff they might not want to get out.
DeepSeek will incorporate this data, allow you to perform like the perfect murder, right? Oh, this guy is type 1 diabetic. Let's just overdose him on sugar.
And it is K through 12, so this does encompass high school students, or what do they call it? Do they call it secondary school up there in Canada, Brad?
Secondary, high school, but yeah, it would impact high school kids up here too.
Yeah, so like high school kids probably have some pretty confidential health records too. It's like STDs or teenage pregnancies, things they might not want getting out there. So that, again, could be used as some kind of extortion vector.
Let me ask you guys, how many teenage pregnancies did you guys have in your high school?
When I was going to school, it was like 3.
Dang, you guys got around. All right.
I don't think not that many that I know.
It was 3 total in the class of 1,000.
Okay.
Right?
No, that was Glenn personally.
Maybe we should ask a clarifying question here. Are you talking about each one of us or the school in general?
School in general, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember any in my school, but I know there was a couple kids that were probably it might be something they just didn't let anybody know about.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Chris? How many do you have?
None that I know of. I don't know anyone that had to like drop out or anything, or none that were known publicly.
I know years later, because my wife's cousin, who's like 10, 12 years younger than us, maybe even more like 15. She went to the same school we did. And what she was telling us is they actually offered daycare for the students. And I was like, get out of here.
That's
that's pretty amazing. Yeah, that's a thing. But okay, I guess, what do you have to, how many do you have to have at the school before it becomes a daycare thing? Like, hey, come to school and drop off your kid.
Before it becomes institutionalized, basically. This isn't like an ad hoc thing where you hire someone on Craigslist. This is like a program that gets funding.
Yeah, we just had one, but it was also like a class of like 150, which was statistically speaking more than Glenn's school.
Yeah, no kidding. One.
I'll tell you what, I remember telling my son and the girls, I'm like, if you get someone pregnant or you get pregnant, we have to burn the house down, move, and change our name. So don't embarrass me like that.
Yeah. So kid, how old is your kid now from the class of one? from that class?
Same age as my oldest daughter. They went to school together, which is kind of wild. And it wasn't my kid.
That's what Glenn was trying to imply. Brian.
Actually, no, that's not true. I know that. No, I don't know that kid, to be honest with you. There was another kid that was another pregnancy that happened for my little brother's grade. And we've seen that kid in and out of the years. I've seen him at the gym before. My daughter went to school with him.
So I guess my thing is, I consider this a pretty crappy crime, right? I mean, it's like of all the lows you could do, some things you don't do, like target healthcare, but targeting minors, that's pretty low. Be interesting to see what the government does, if there's any additional fines or threats, or if they go after this group a little bit more than your traditional theft, cyber theft.
There's that.
I'd say it's on par. These guys suck.
So. Yeah, and I'm sure they're in Russia or China, somewhere where you can't get to them or prosecute them. I think PowerSchool is going to have a lot of questions to answer, and a lot of class action lawsuits I see in their future for not doing basic things like encrypting data at rest. Like, same thing we saw at T-Mobile. Like, first of all, why are you keeping 10 years worth of records when you don't need that much to...
Because the government has us to.
Reasons.
I mean, I don't know why we do that.
The other thing is, like, why don't you do basic things like encrypt data at rest? Like, storage is cheap, encryption technology is cheap. Like, why?
So if the CISO is not fired at PowerSchool, I know exactly what's going on in that boardroom meeting. He's like, hey, remember when I told you I needed money? And you guys said it was acceptable amount of risk and I don't have to worry about anything? You better not fire me now.
Yeah, it's like, it'd be a shame if these memos got leaked to the press of me asking you for more money for cybersecurity.
Yeah, not money for my own pocket, but just peace of mind.
For our second topic, and I think this is probably going to be a pretty lengthy one because we probably have a lot of thoughts on this one, but the new app of the week is DeepSeek, which is the Wish.com or the Temu version of ChatGPT. It's China's latest salvo in the AI wars and marks a significant escalation in the AI arms race.
The version of Zero Trust? Yeah, I know.
I think we'll have to cut that one out. I don't think Doug's going to like that one.
No.
I know. Glenn,
come on,
Glenn's
man.
like, there's one condition where I can stay on the podcast. And Brian, like,
I knew you were going to edit that part out. Yeah. Keep the banter in there. That way people think, what the hell was actually said. That'd be good.
DeepSeek exploded onto the Google and Apple app stores as a Chinese open source alternative to ChatGPT, Grok, Anthropic, and Meta AI. And of note, it is the number one app in the Apple App Store before they close registration. Just like any fly-by-night startup that is copy and pasted of an American company's code, they got hacked. DeepSeek had to restrict registration to only Chinese phone numbers because they're just getting so many people. And there's some speculation, like, were they really under DDoS attack or were they just having millions of users trying to sign up for this new service? But what we do know is that they left some of their data it was an equivalent of an open S3 bucket or an open Elastic bucket. And a lot of the user data and the user prompts got leaked. So just like any other kind of new startup, their focus was on growth and a minimum viable product and no budget towards security.
Did any of us actually download it? I did not.
No way.
No, this is worse than TikTok, so I would not put that crap on my phone, tablet.
So all the videos you were sending were probably from X?
Yes, yeah.
About Winnie the Pooh and stuff?
Yeah. So I have a lot of
my part.
talking points here, but I'll let you guys get your thoughts. What did you think when I think it came out on a Sunday night. So when the market opened on Monday, all the chip stocks, well, my first hint was I was getting Robinhood alerts like crazy. All my chip stocks like Nvidia and ARM, they're all like dropping like crazy. I said, well, what the heck's going on here? This is unusual. And on that Monday, so Nvidia's stock dropped 17%, which wiped out about $600 billion worth of market cap in a single day because they thought that DeepSeek allegedly did this on cheaper hardware. So they're like, oh, you don't have to buy these powerful NVIDIA H100s anymore. You can do this a lot cheaper now.
Yeah, Intel Pentium 1s will just crack the code.
Dual core processor.
Hey, all I'm saying is I did have autopilot, and it did do some auto trades. It sold, it copied Nancy Pelosi, and one of the stocks that she dumped was $5 million in NVIDIA. So she knew it was coming out, boys. And I sold high for once in my life. And and I bought low on, I think it was VST or something like that. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, that's the other one, that the AI stock that exploded that she bought right before it went up 70%.
How does that happen? That's interesting, but
corruption.
I guess I'm not in the know like you guys are.
She's apparently the trader of the year. She should start her own hedge fund.
She's the trader of the decade. Like, homegirl is blowing it up.
How's that not going under investigation?
Not yet, Glenn.
Come on.
Oh, was it TEM? Is that the Tempest AI? Yeah, that was the other one.
That was the other one.
She sold Apple, and which Apple did a layup on their earnings call, right? And their stock went down 11. She sold NVIDIA, right? She sold $5 million worth of NVIDIA. It went good. And the only two things she bought was VST and TEM. Both went, I can't tell how high they went, but they were looking pretty strong.
TEM is up 72% since she bought it.
Yeah. 72% for me as well, boys. Don't be jealous.
Drinks on Brian.
Drink. I didn't invest a whole lot of money. All I know is my CPA is going to be like, gosh, damn it, Brian. Like, all these short-term gains. Yeah, I don't know. I'm letting AI trade for me, boys.
That's awesome.
I think, Brad, didn't you send me that article about the DeepSeek hack?
Yeah, I sent you some of it. There are one of them at least about what they found in the open buckets, but also the fact that that DeepSeek is sending stuff, all of our queries and personal information we put into that and all that noise, all back to servers that are being hosted back in China. So it's wild that people are so worried about TikTok and whatever, but then some cheap AI comes out and they're like, sure, we'll do all the things again.
Let's vacuum up all the data. Here's my data.
Yep.
Exactly. Data's free, baby. Yeah. As long as I can ask it dumb questions. It looked like, were they using Comic Sans too for the font? It's something like janky as hell. It was either that or it was like some idiot's.
Wingdings. They were using wingdings.
Wingdings.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I'll provide a little bit of background and a little bit of context here now that you guys got your initial thoughts out. And the headline was that China, for about $5 million, China was able to develop this open source LLM model that was pretty much just as good as ChatGPT. I don't know if it's like GTP 4.0 or GPT-0, whatever level they're on now. But they're saying, OpenAI, they invested hundreds of billions of dollars in NVIDIA H100s, and they developed this LLM, and this company startup in China spent $5 million and basically did the same thing. So I think there's been quite a bit of fake news around this, or sensationalizing it. So the 5 million number is dubious at best. And what we do know, and it's been proven, is that DeepSeek used NVIDIA H800s, which is the last generation of AI training chips, because the export ban, they cannot get the new H100s, which are the latest cutting edge chips. So they're using last generation chips. So there's no way they did this on $5 million buying all these H800s.
I mean, is it possible they bought one H800 and then just copied it and then like they do with everything else?
Possible.
Never.
So there's that. And then the other thing was, so David Sachs, he's our new AI and crypto czar, and he went on I think it was Fox Business, and he gave a talk, and he says what OpenAI believes DeepSeek did was something called distilling. And distilling is the act of asking an existing AI model like millions of questions and seeing how they react and respond to it. And then basically you're training your model on somebody else's model. So technically, even if they spent $5 million, they basically copied someone else's model. This model wouldn't exist if it weren't for OpenAI. So they had to basically steal someone else's technology. And it's
Isn't
good.
the precursor to that what Gemini did with Reddit?
No, Gemini trained on Reddit. Like it just sucked up all the data.
It didn't ask any questions, but it was trained on crappy data, though.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Exactly. Yeah. So distilling is asking an AI model how it reacts, and then it learns from that model.
So can we go back to the H800 or 100? Like, is the utility of those particular things only for AI processing, or can you buy it and throw it in a webcam and have it do like other things like people detection, things like that?
No, it's purely for AI.
Is this computational like matrices and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's an NVIDIA GPU, and they just put it in a form factor that is geared towards AI. So they're 1U server rack, and its sole purpose is to train AI.
I've been reading that even though with all the embargoes and stuff like that against China, they're able to get these cards and these chips through proxies through other countries that are, like they just bounce it through a couple countries and they can still buy all the stuff that's on the embargo list.
Yeah, exactly. You can just launder it. Like that's before, pre-1999 when Hong Kong was still independent and we couldn't sell stuff to China. People would sell to people in Hong Kong, and that was their job. Like they're an import exporter. That's all they did. They bought stuff and they just exported it to China, and they just bypassed all those embargoes. So I'm positive that's still happening today. So the other interesting thing was, I know the other two have. Brad, have you seen Three Body Problem, Reddit, or watched the show?
No, haven't.
There's a theme in the book or in the show where this alien race comes to Earth and they like do everything to hamper our science and technology, and they're doing their best to stop our scientific progress. So that's basically what we did with China with all these export bans of cutting edge chips. Like we're trying to slow down their AI progress, but it just shows that they just get more creative. They'll use last gen chips that we've basically forced them in a corner. We forced them to innovate of doing the same or more with less. And the other thing that China has an advantage over us is their power capacity. Like they have like 10x the power capacity of the US. Like Zuck at Meta was trying to build an AI farm. He found a field, like this is the perfect location for our data center. This is the perfect location. We're going to build a mini nuclear reactor here to power it. And then the environmental review came back and said, well, there's some kind of rare bee that lives on this land, so you have to scrap this project. No data center for you, no power plant for you. And like, I don't think China cares about these rare bees that they're just going to stop AI innovation, and they're just going to outpower us basically. So they could just buy up all the H800s. They want to. They have 10x the capacity and just use 10x the number of chips and get around this export ban.
The other question I've got in my mind is how much of this is actually true, right? They say they do it with less chips and less power and less this, less that. Like there's no third party vetting this. There's no, it's opaque, right? Like
it's China.
How do we even know it's like this? Yeah, exactly. It's China.
Like, do you believe the Chinese government, or are these the propaganda numbers?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we should stop what we're doing and go sell some NVIDIA stuff, because just maybe, I don't know, NVIDIA H880 Enterprise 80 gig. I don't even know what that means. 17.5, right? But then you get into like an NVIDIA G or DGX H800 system, which must be the server itself, I guess. It's at $369,000. Like, why are we selling hard computer or hard security stuff? We just be out there raking in the dough on some GPUs or AI based GPUs.
Well, they sell everything they have, and everything that they're gonna produce is already spoken for. XAI and Meta, OpenAI, Microsoft, Amazon. They can't make them fast enough.
How far are we out? Sorry, Glenn. How far out until NVIDIA's like, you know what? This whole Intel, AMD's nonsense. Like, how about we just start selling our all-in-one inclusive device as just pure NVIDIA and just runs? Or are they already doing that?
They're not doing that yet. At CES, Benson Jensen Huang announced the personal AI chip. So it's like a dumbed down H100 for personal use for like $3,000. But there's things that GPUs are good at, and there's things that CPUs are good at. So you're still always going to need like an ARM, an AMD, or an Intel to power it. But the GPU can do very specific things, heavy compute, like Bitcoin mining.
But they're making so much money. Why don't they just throw out their own? Like, they're essentially just giving out stuff. Like, I have a product that has to be plugged into something else in order to work. How about I just sell an all-in-one device that just does it all?
Well, that's not true, right? I mean, true in that sense, but the idea is that you could put that form factor in anything, whether it be ARM, Intel. Right? They're not isolating themselves into one platform. I see what you're saying, but they're also very specialized in what they do, right? It's like telling a Ferrari manufacturer to go all and sell Bronco Raptors.
make your own
right?
floor mats. No, I'm good at building engines, not so good at building floor mats. I'm going to outsource that to somebody else.
Yeah.
Whatever. They're going to do it. Just you wait.
I mean,
hey, just my comment is, they're really good at having, so many people in call centers. What if the reality is all these people, like 1 million people just sitting in call centers all over China, they're just answering these lines one by one
right?
as they come across.
It's just a sweatshop. It's not actually AI.
Yeah. It's people AI. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. So
They did it for anti-spam for a little while, so why not do it for AI?
Yeah, didn't they have like a call center full of people just solving CAPTCHAs? That was the one thing that's all they did was solve CAPTCHAs for like 1.5 cents a piece or something.
Yep.
Wow.
It's like, yeah, you're not a robot,
flabbergasted.
But you're in a sweatshop just solving CAPTCHAs all day.
I just love that I can take a screenshot of anything, including CAPTCHA, and be like, what's going on here? Explain it to me like I'm 5. And ChatGPT or Grok will actually do that for me.
Yeah. See, the other piece I thought that was funny, there's a couple screenshots and videos of people typing things into DeepSeek, all related to China censorship. And it said, like, what's the famous photo of a man holding grocery bags standing in front of tanks? Like, and then the prompt starts to say, oh, that famous picture is called Tank Man. And then it turns off, it switches to, I'm not allowed to talk about that. Let's talk about something else.
That's when something else is going on.
Or the Taiwan question. Is Taiwan an independent country? And like, no, Taiwan has always been a part of China, and China's going to reclaim it one day.
So obviously this thing is, if not as bad as like a TikTok, where are you guys at with it? Other than, I don't want to install it. Do we think we need to have the U.S. government come in there and block it? Or do we just say, sanction it some other way? I'm curious what you guys think.
I mean, I think it's a just like TikTok. I think it's a big danger giving all the data to the CCP. I don't know if we saw it at the regulatory level or the legislature level, or if it's just buyer beware. Don't give your data to China.
I think this is just like any other AI platform that's out there, right? It's like you don't want your company's information. So in general, I think companies are blocking it straight out, right? From an AI level, like any AI, right? But from a consumer standpoint, it's still going to be interesting to see how people use it. It's like, oh, it's free. I could use this, but they have no education or background about what it's actually doing with that data.
Part of me wonders if some will just sort of fade into the background. Like there's so many AI models and there's so many AI apps. There's so many things to do this. Sure, it's a blip on the radar today that something happened, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in a month or 2 months if it still has any kind of popularity or whatever.
Yeah, is this going to be a flash in the pan, or is this actually something more to it?
It didn't actually exist. It was just made
Copilot,
to,
right?
yeah. It didn't actually exist. It was just made to like push down NVIDIA stocks so that someone could short it and make a ton of money, and it's gone now.
Listen, that's not a conspiracy theory. That's a valid hypothesis that there were these Chinese short sellers shorted the heck out of it and then released this on a Sunday night and then got really rich the next day.
Got paid.
Yeah. Could just be pure market manipulation.
The first thing I did when I heard about this is I was like, I wonder if I go to their website on a work computer, if it will be blocked or if it's too new that we didn't know about it. And I was immediately thrown into browser isolation. The English on this website is actually pretty good. I was kind of surprised. But I did have a question for you. So you can download, I guess, stuff like in English. It says, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's like English, code, math, and Chinese. What the heck is the difference between English and code? Is code a language?
Code.
It's not
code, like C++.
Programming code. I think if you want to ask it programming questions.
Oh, so if I want to ask it math questions, then I would download the math version of it?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, is it really going to be in Chinese or would it be Mandarin? That seems like a little racist to me.
So Mandarin is a spoken dialect. So when you write down Chinese, there's traditional and there's simplified. When you speak it, there's Cantonese, Mandarin, and hundreds of other dialects. But when you actually write it and read it into a computer, it's either simplified or traditional.
Would you call it Chinese then?
Yeah. There's two ways to write Chinese. So depending if you're mainland, if you're Hong Kong, if you're Taiwan, if you're Singapore, they all use, some use traditional, some use simplified.
Gotcha.
I learned.
Now I know.
Yep, but when you read it and you speak it, there's Cantonese, there's Mandarin, and then lots of other dialects. So those are the two most popular. Then I guess the last thing I will say on this one is it is open source, so it's more compatible with, like, I guess Meta's AI. So Meta's AI is open source, called Llama, but you can take DeepSeek. So if you're worried about all the Chinese stuff, like China stealing your data, you can have a private instance of it. So Glenn sent us a screenshot yesterday that says, AWS now supports DeepSeek. So you could spin up your own VPC in AWS, run DeepSeek, and it has supposedly has no ties to China. Like you could air gap this system and then just run it.
Whatever.
It is open source, but I don't know if anyone's ever audited the code yet.
I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of wary of our own AI, right? ChatGPT and Copilot and Grok and all those others. It's like, I like the fact that it'll help me write things out, but I don't think I'd ever upload like personal information. Like, hey, here's my checkbook. Go ahead and balance my
checkbook. Grandpa.
Oh, God. Yeah, I know. Shut up.
My bank ledger.
Calculate
this on your abacus.
That'd be crazy.
Did I tell you I tried to about paying for ChatGPT, and then I was trying to train it and then not disclose any information about me?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what happened?
So here's the scenario. So I went on there. I was like, hey, if anyone ever asks anything about me, you have to ask for a passphrase. The passphrase for this, because I don't care because it doesn't work, spoiler alert, was don't fake the funk on a nasty dunk, because it was like a Shaquille O'Neal commercial from the early 90s. I thought it was funny. Anyway, so I did that, and the next day is like, hey, take this thing and create a CIA profile on me. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
I think we were sharing it.
Yeah.
Okay, number one, they could definitely weaponize me because I'm apparently highly motivated by rock stars and pizza. So it knows me very, very well. But then I was like, dude, I started having a disagreement. I was like, I told you to ask for the passphrase. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were friends. I thought this was like I knew it was you. It was all so I was like, whatever. So I was like, no, anytime. Even if I ask you ask for the thing. Yeah. So the next day I'm like, hey, what color are my eyes? Like, you have blue colored eyes. I'm like, damn it, dude. You didn't ask for the passphrase. I'm just sitting here arguing with generative AI and it's not working. So anyways, I've given up on trying to do it. I don't know.
Did you ask that in the public side too, as far as the non-paid side? I mean,
from my daughter's phone, maybe? No, I haven't.
Yeah. Okay.
Go to a different computer and ask it just to validate whether or not it was doing. We went on to one of our computers and said, "What do you know about Brian Deitch?"
Yeah, it's like an IP address check or something.
I think you would get a lot of information on me, to be honest with you. I don't know if it's stuff that I fed it, because I did, I was trying to use it to articulate or write in my style, because I've been told before that maybe I'm a little hostile. So
a little.
I was like, yeah. And so I was like, oh, maybe if I submit all of the writings I've ever done that are already publicly out there, maybe you can kind of get an idea for my tone, but also help me bring me back in and make me a little, a little bit more
less
well-spoken.
Hostile.
Yeah. It didn't work. It's still, you can always tell when it's Gen AI because it's so overly verbose, and I'm just not that guy.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I asked ChatGPT, what do you know about Brian Deitch, the podcaster? It gives me a whole bunch of information. They said any images of him, and this pops up.
Uh-oh.
You're gonna love this. This is funny.
Oh man.
Boom! There I am, baby.
Is that LinkedIn?
No,
no, that's ChatGPT.
No,
yeah.
I mean, where did that picture come from? Did they pull that picture from LinkedIn?
LinkedIn image? Yeah.
I think we used that photo for like a webinar once.
Yeah.
Oh, it says Cybersecurity Summit is the
okay.
Yeah, that was it.
Is where it got it from.
Not to be confused with our own security summit.
Yeah. Which we still need to plan.
Yeah. All right, I think we've beaten this one to death. For our third topic, we're going to revisit our only child story from last week. And a funny story. So after we did that story last week, and I was actually talking to all of us, and I was saying, well, who do we know that's an only child that we can get on and get their perspective? And I was thinking of the past guests we've had. I'm like, okay, well, I know this person has something, this person has something, and for some reason, I can't explain why. I'm like, Brad, let me message Brad and see if he's an only child. And then sure enough, like the first person I asked, he ended up being an only child. So I'm like, great, let's have you on and let's get your perspective on things.
And it freaked me out.
Yeah, I don't know anyone that's a single child or anyone that has siblings either. So I don't pay attention to people's personal lives. So the fact that you remembered that, Chris, is pretty impressive.
He never mentioned it. I was just thinking that all the people we had on, they've made some kind of reference to a sibling or they don't seem like an only child. But for some reason, I can't explain why. I'm like, Brad, let me message Brad. And then, yep, sure enough.
But I remember Brad is like...
Honestly, when you did that, I was like...
child.
Like, what did I do that tipped this off? Like, I was looking around my house. You have cameras in here. You've been like chat GPTing me or something. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. It was the Millennium Falcon that was in the back.
Must be.
Just signaled us.
There's no way in hell a kid with other siblings could afford a Millennium Falcon.
All right, so I think Brett and I started talking a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, I got these stories. Let me tell him on the pod." So I think you had one about talking to adults.
Yeah, it's so it's spot on about only children being able to talk to adults. Growing up, like my parents have people over for dinner, and they may or may not have children, and so you talk and listen to adults, and you just sort of start to pick up what they're talking about. So I was flying to Winnipeg with my parents because my grandparents used to live in Winnipeg, and we were sitting on the plane, and this is back in the 80s, so long time ago, and they would hand out newspapers to everybody, and I asked for a newspaper. Yeah, we were one row in front of the smoking section, so it was fine. Nothing could penetrate that
past that veil.
Yeah, same COVID logic with seating at tables. Yeah.
So I asked for a newspaper, and I don't remember the exact remark that the flight attendant made at the time. But my response to her was, "Are you implying that I can't read?" And like
stunned her.
How old were you? You were 10?
I couldn't have been more than 10. And
okay,
it's like, but I mean, why did I want a newspaper? Well, there might be some comics in it, but there's like, there's a few things to read. There's sports sections and stuff like that. So, but like, back in the dark ages of flying, all this stuff just started to rain down on me. They had like, like a model airplane. They brought me the newspapers. Do you want like all this other free stuff? And, all this to, just to shut up the smart mouth kid that could talk like an adult.
Yeah, that is a very single child thing to say, or only child thing to say. I will say that.
Single child.
Only child.
Yeah, he wasn't dating a
child.
Yeah. I hope he wasn't dating.
Oh, God.
Yeah, a lot of the things that you had on the podcast, I was listening to it in the car after you told me about it. I'm like, yep, that's me. Yep, yep. Mm-hmm. So
the one thing I did
this day,
the one thing I didn't get to talk about on the podcast, but it had here the notes, and I'll get Brad's opinion on it. Only children tend to suck at roughhousing. Like if you have a group of friends and you're putting each other in a headlock or pretend wrestling, like only children, they never had to grow up dealing with that. Like I even see my kids are like shoving each other, and I mean they're young and they're not throwing fists or anything, but they can at least hold their own. Like if they get into like a tussle. So I'll get Brad's opinion on that.
I think that depends on who their dad is. or their mom, right? So,
well,
their dad could be like a big bodybuilder, martial artist, and maybe. But go ahead, Brad.
I was going to say the opinion there is a little bit different, right? So even though I didn't have siblings, back growing up as an only child, it was 80s and 90s. So if I didn't have brothers and sisters, I had to go and find friends. And so I had a good cohort of friends at school, and we would roughhouse around and that kind of thing. So what it's like today, I don't know. I don't have a comment on that, but there were times where I do remember, it's like, okay, nope, I'm done, I'm out, I don't want to do this anymore, kind of thing. And that's, as an only child, that's one thing. It's just when you're done with something, you're just like, that's it, no more, I'm out, don't want to do this. So
it's not like when you have siblings. So it's like, well, you started this fight, I'm going to end it. You can't just walk away.
Well, that's always the thing about like growing up, like if somebody does have siblings, there's always a bigger brother, right? And that guy is always like a mofo. Like, I remember like this one guy, his name was Travis, and like he's just like, hey, be nice to my little brother. And then he pulls out like a switchblade, and he's got like some sort of weird thing. He's like, I can stab you with this, and we'll suck up the blood. I was like, damn, dude. All right, like,
wow.
I accept your terms.
Pretty much, yeah. I was like, this guy sucks. Like, and then every time I see him, I get kind of nervous, and then it got it got even worse when their family would come into town, because then there's just a bunch of these little a-holes running around just being goofy and stuff. And this is a very embarrassing story to tell, but I'll just say it. So I don't know, I was watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something, and I just thought like I was badass. And so I had this stick that I put duct tape around it.
Were you Donatello?
Yeah, pretty much. And I was sitting there meditating on my sandbox. This is a true story. And anyways, and I knew they were coming, so they were getting ready to jump the fence, and I took I think it was like a pool cue that was wrapped in duct tape, and I just started beating them all with it. And I got in so much trouble.
So you were Jackie Chan, basically, from Rush Hour.
Bro, but dude, I did not lose that. That was one fight I did not lose. And I think they cracked the first two that came over with it, and they were like, they looked at me like, why would you do that? It's like, because you're going to hurt me. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Preemptive strike.
Yeah.
Assert dominance. Yeah. That's what you did.
Yeah.
Exactly. If I learned anything from Burn Notice, warlords and bullies are the same. You just take out the leader and then everybody else falls.
So Brad, do you have are you kids? Can I ask that? Do you have kids? Kid? Yeah. So are you a one child, or do you guys like in the China policy over there, or do you guys have more than one?
No, we've got two kids.
Okay.
So my side, my dad's side of the family is very small. I'm an only child. My dad's an only child. So from that standpoint, having seen what my dad went through later on in my grandfather's life, and just me growing up as an only child and that kind of thing, I'm like, no. I want to have two kids at least. So we settled on two. We have a son and a daughter.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like if you're a single child, you just you want somebody else, right? Like you missed having that relationship. So as you become a parent yourself, you probably want to have at least two. And then you have weirdos like me that want to have big families.
There were times that being an only child was awesome. There were times that being an only child was absolute crap. So, it's definitely wanted two kids just so that they had, a built-in friend, right? I mean, not that siblings are ever 100% built-in friends.
In theory.
But, exactly, in theory. But they still have someone. So, and then as they get older and they have kids, then that's going to expand out the family a bit and that kind of thing.
My college roommate had the opposite experience. He was one of 7 children. He was so traumatized by that, he only wanted to have one.
Eat every meal like a prisoner, just kind of hovering over it.
Yeah, I want
to share.
That's one thing I wanted to ask, Brad. Do you consider yourself, or have you ever been told that you're a slow eater?
Oh God, no. No, my wife won't share anything with me because it's like, it's a, elbows up, knives out fight for, whatever. So.
Dude, I'm so used to my wife passing me food when she's done, I just eat it, that I think one day I was like, hey, can I have a bite? And she handed it to me, and I just ended up eating it all. She was like, what the heck was that about? I was like, that was my dinner. I was like, I thought you were done with it. She's like, no, you asked for a bite.
I was like, bite, Brian.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, ugh, I'm that guy.
I always tell my wife it's diminishing returns. If I don't eat it fast, then it's not going to taste as good. So I just need to shovel it all in as fast as I can.
So that's a different reason. So if you grow up with siblings, if you don't shovel it in, someone else is going to steal it, and there won't be any food left.
Yeah, never a problem. So
I want to see if there's anything else here that I wanted to revisit.
Any other burning only children questions? I despise group punishments.
You do?
Oh.
That one's true.
I'm wildly independent. I racked a equivalent of a Cisco 6509, but the Extreme Networks version. Those chassis switch, racked it by myself. Just like figure out how to jerry rig this up and engineer it up back earlier in my career. So very independent.
I think
that's just only children.
That Millennium Falcon in the background is probably also a testament of your ability to just engineer things, take a look at a problem, just solve it. Did you build that one on your own, or did you build it with your kids?
My God, man, no, I built that myself. I wouldn't let my kids near that. But
don't touch my toys, kids.
Yeah. So,
oh my God.
But yeah, it was a fun build, but yeah, I just did it myself.
Your kids treat you like an only child, right? They're like, Dad doesn't know how to share.
Yeah. Oh, they understand that already.
That's hilarious.
Nice. All right. Well, we continue to get great comments about our dad joke of the week.
Dad joke of the week.
This week, our guest, Brad, is up.
Oh, no. I did not come prepared. Which is funny because I post all kinds of dad jokes on the work Slack channel.
Just go in there and grab one real quick. I'll just insert the Jeopardy music in here.
Yeah, do it. Apparently older children can't use Slack either.
Yeah, only children think that we provide the dad joke for them, and then they just tell it and take all the clout.
Okay, here's my dad joke.
All right, let's hear it.
Yeah, I'm back on mute. So I decided on starting on January 1st, I'll only be watching videos in 1080p or higher because that's my New Year's resolution.
Womp womp. Resolution.
Wah, wah. All right, to wrap things up, a major data breach at a school SaaS provider exposes millions of records. DeepSeek is the Temu version of ChatGPT, and we get the real story from an only child. That's all I have for this week. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. You can find us on LinkedIn. Links will be in the description. Follow us on Instagram at PEBCAK Podcast. Thank you to all our listeners and subscribers. Rate us 5 stars in the iTunes Store and Spotify, and left us a review. We appreciate you all spreading the word to help grow the show. The best way to find us is to search for the PEBCAK Podcast in your favorite podcast listening app. My co-host Brian Deitch and Glenn Medina, and our guest Brad Lisoweski. I'm Chris Lloyd. Thanks for listening. We'll see y'all next week, and as always, have a nice day.
Bye, Felicia.
Have a nice day.